What is up, everybody? Escape211 here on the test server, and we are looking at the latest Viper weapon that we have, the Viper 10. Now, I'm just showing some footage. I played of this recently, just having some fun with Bastion since I don't play him often. But I actually thought with the sustain and the amount of damage this can do, he might actually be good because I was happy with the overall damage and performance on the 8s. So I thought the 10 might be there up with like Carbine 12s or something a little bit stronger. I do think it's more like Grav Beams, maybe Grav Beam 10 or 12 in terms of how it feels, especially with the burst feel of it, similar to like Implosion. So not that it's bad, I just don't really think it's going to be anything that's going to change a whole lot of the meta. So, you know, in that sense, it's kind of just slowly bringing Assault somewhat up into play, but not really, I think, solving the problems yet of Assault. Generally, I think it's a step in the right direction, but just, again, relies more on the burst damage that, you know, Mech Arena has come to almost in any sense rely on in almost any category. So I don't really think it's solving the problem. I think that the idea of sustain or better sustain that these weapons could provide, maybe like, you know, you get added defense when this weapon is actually firing, or you get some like leech effect where you get some health back or health on kills similar to FFA, so that like it actually feels different and would work better with sustain potentially for this kind of category. So it's something I'd like to see in Assault, which didn't necessarily happen with this weapon, but it's not that this weapon I think is bad. It's just more of the same to me in some respects. You know, so that's generally how the weapon functions, though. Not necessarily speaking of the 10. I do feel like the 10 is decent, but not anything that I would say you need to necessarily get or invest in, especially when it's a paid item. And like I said, not really going to be a whole lot better than Grav Beams, which you already have access to. So generally speaking, that's where I feel like it falls. I also wanted to talk about the devlog, which to me in various ways was a bit disappointing. It's not that the devlog was necessarily bad in terms of what it offered, because some of the new things, you know, could be really cool. Like a higher end Lancer sounds good, but you know, the other weapons, even though they're okay, it just feels like we may be getting, here we go, Lancer 2.0 and Rocket Motor 2.0 and Javs 3.0, since we already have Helix. Like, it felt kind of more of the same. The other element in talking about PvE was cool, but it's not something we haven't heard, and I'm kind of surprised we still don't have it necessarily in-game. Maybe that means they're making more changes to it, and it could be better on release, even though they did some A/B testing with it, which sounds nice, but we'll have to see how it is when that actually does come out. I have to say I was also a bit disappointed when they got to the Q&A and kind of like quickly address the idea of scrapping blueprints, even though that's been something that so many people have talked about and said there are technical limitations to it. You know, I understand like it's not the same thing as scrapping implants, but I think you know what people are asking about. This has been a discussion for a long time, and if they're just not going to do it, I'd appreciate if they just flat out told us, instead of saying like maybe sometime in the future we could, but then also say, well, we can't do it now for technical difficulties. Felt like kind of a cop-out answer, I'll be honest, but I do feel like it's something they need to come back to and either straight up address if they're going to do or not, just because it's been talked about for so long. But those are my overall thoughts on the devlog stuff, and generally speaking, I just felt like it was worth somewhat addressing it, even though I'm not going to do a full video on it. But, you know, you can let me know your thoughts on the devlog as well as the Viper 10 below. If you think the Viper are going to be good or other thoughts you have, feel free to comment as always. And we will see you out there on the battlefield.